You use it every single day. Gmail, Netflix, Spotify, you name it. The term is SaaS, which stands for Software as a Service. It basically runs the modern world. But what does that phrase actually mean? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify the revolution that took software from a product you buy in a box to a service that lives in the cloud. To really get it, you just have to see the before and after. On the left, you've got the old way. A total mess of different, clunky software installed one by one for every single customer. On the right, you see the new way. One clean, simple service that manages everybody all at the same time. The journey from that chaos on the left to that control on the right, well, that's the whole story of SaaS. So let's just rewind for a second. Before SaaS became the norm, the software world was, frankly, a huge headache, a minefield of complexity for both the companies making the software and, of course, for the people trying to use it. I mean, just look at this. This was the nightmare of the old model. Every customer was their own separate island. You might have one client on version 1.1, another on 1.3, and someone else on a custom build. So what happens if there's a security bug? Well, rolling out a fix could take months. It was slow, it was incredibly expensive, and you could never react to what the market wanted because you were too busy just trying to keep the lights on. So the solution to this giant mess wasn't just, some clever new code. It was a completely different way of thinking about business. See, SaaS isn't just a tech thing. It's a whole new business philosophy. And this definition from AWS really just nails it. The key words here, low friction and service-centric. The goal isn't to sell you a product in a box that's going to be outdated in a year. No, the goal is to provide an evolving service that's always getting better, always delivering value, both for you and for the company providing it. And here's what that philosophy really gets you. Agility means you can push out a new feature to everyone instantly. Operational efficiency means adding 1,000 new customers doesn't mean 1,000 new installs. Getting started or onboarding becomes totally frictionless, and all of this creates this incredible engine for nonstop innovation and growth. Okay, so the business side makes a ton of sense, but how does the technology actually work? How can one system serve millions of people all at once without just, falling apart? Let's pop the hood and take a look. The single most important idea to get your head around is tenancy, and honestly, the apartment building analogy is perfect. The SaaS company owns and manages the entire building, the plumbing, the electricity, the security at the front door. Each customer, or tenant, gets their own private secure apartment inside. You're all sharing the main building, which is super efficient, but your space is completely your own. Now, inside this big system, you've got a couple of options. The first is what's called the silo model. So instead of an apartment in the main building, think of this as giving a tenant their own private, standalone house on the property. All the resources, the database, the servers are dedicated just to them. It gives you maximum privacy, for sure, but it also costs a lot more. And the other option is the pool model. This takes us right back to that big apartment building. Multiple tenants all share the same underlying resources. It's way more cost-effective, it's way more scalable, and frankly, this is the model that powers most of the SaaS tools that we all use every single day. But here's the real genius of modern SaaS. It's not an all-or-nothing choice. A single app can actually be a hybrid of both. So, for example, all the user profiles might live in a shared, efficient pool to keep costs down, but each customer's super sensitive billing information, that's kept in its own separate lockdown silo for maximum security. This flexibility to mix and match is what makes SaaS so incredibly powerful. Okay, so we've seen how it works under the hood. Now let's talk about the impact. Because this new model didn't just change things a little bit, it created an entirely new class of corporate giants. Let's start with just one absolutely staggering number, $281 billion. That's Microsoft's annual revenue. And a huge, huge driver of that growth is their pivot to SaaS, with things like Microsoft 365 and their Azure cloud platform. That right there is the raw economic power of this model. And of course, Microsoft is not alone. Just look across the industry. You've got Salesforce, the company that really pioneered this whole thing, now a nearly $38 billion behemoth. Adobe, they completely reinvented their business by moving Photoshop to the cloud. And Shopify has powered millions of online stores by making e-commerce a simple service. This model now completely dominates every part of our economy. So it's pretty easy to look at those huge numbers and think, okay, SaaS is a game for giants with tens of thousands of employees. But This is where the story takes a really cool turn, because a kind of counter movement has popped up, proving that the exact same principles can work on a totally different scale. Meet the micro sauce. Now, instead of trying to build a giant platform for everyone, a micro sauce focuses on solving one tiny, very specific problem and solving it perfectly. We're talking about a simple browser extension that organizes your tabs, or a little plugin for Shopify that handles one specific shipping calculation. It's hyper-focused. And when you compare them, the philosophy is just crystal clear. Traditional SaaS is all about chasing huge markets and massive growth. Micro SaaS is intentionally small. It's often built by just one person for a very specific audience. The goal isn't to take over the world, it's to build something useful that makes a sustainable profit. It's the lean, agile spirit of SaaS, just taken to its logical extreme. So from the biggest tech companies in the world down to a single developer building a cool tool in their spare time, the shift is just undeniable. We don't really buy software anymore. We subscribe to services, and that has some really big implications for all of us. And really, when you think about it, this model puts you, the user, first. Instead of a huge upfront cost for a software license, you pay a small, predictable subscription. You never have to worry about updates or security patches. You're always on the latest and greatest version automatically. And you can get to your tools and your data from anywhere, on any device. It's just a more flexible, more accessible, and more efficient model for everyone. This massive shift to SaaS has given us all incredible power and convenience, but it also changes our fundamental relationship with our own digital tools. We've moved from a world of ownership to a world of access. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When everything is a service, what do you really own?